Oh, okay. Sorry, guys. Hey, I am Shauna Chambers, and if you are not part of my youth group, I am from First United Methodist Church in a little town called Huntington, West Virginia. If you've ever heard of We Are Marshall, that is our town. And you are listening to The Gap, where we are trying to gain authentic perspective. We are taking 40 days to have 40 different conversations with 40 different people to try to break down those walls, learn how to listen, gain some authentic perspective, and fill in that gap. So, today I have with us, he is my family, and his name is Rob Akers. And Rob, tell them a little bit about you.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell them about me.
Uh-uh.
Oh my goodness. Well, we are related through marriage. My wife and you are, is it second cousins, I believe.
Yes. Yes.
Um, so we have that for going for us. I was born in Little Rock, Arkansas in 1969, so I'm old, and grew up in Memphis, Tennessee. And I went to Arkansas State University from 1987 to 1991, had a bachelor's degree in psychology. And then, because of a stupid movie called Top Gun, I decided I knew I wanted to fly airplanes. And so then I tried to join the Air Force after I graduated college. That I was not ready for that yet. So I went to graduate school at the University of Memphis. And I have a master's degree in instruction and curriculum design. And after I got the master's, or while I was getting the master's, I learned to fly, and I got my civilian commercial pilot's rating. Um, and then joined the Air Force in 1995. I joined the West Virginia Air Guard in Charleston, West Virginia, and moved up here. And I met Donetta in 2000. We became cousins in law in 2002, and did about 2 years in Iraq and Afghanistan. Um, and I left the military, or separated from the military, in 2008. So I served 13 years. And in the meantime, they kind of overlap. I joined Federal FedEx as a pilot in 2004, and that's where I'm currently employed. I'm a captain on the 757, and have two kids, a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old, and one dog and two cats. That's all I got.
You can't leave out your fur babies.
No,
Um,
no, they're important. They're
but
members of
I
the family.
like I like how you kept saying through marriage. So it's like he's trying to say to you guys that he could get rid of me if he wanted, but
No, Donetta could get rid of me if she wanted.
too funny. Well, of course, thank you for your service. You are the second veteran that I have talked to.
Oh, wow.
So I am happy about that. Always thankful for the people that fight for our freedom, but and keep us safe. So and also he is active in his church.
Yes.
Um, he does a leadership course called the Joshua's Men, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So he does a leadership course with that as well, and he works with the youth a little bit, right?
Yes, the middle school youth at our church. Uh, so we have like a large group of, I don't know, 50 or 60 kids. And then we break those groups down. So we have one big lesson for everybody. And then we break the groups down by gender and grade. So I've been leading the eighth grade boys um, small group.
That's awesome. All right. So to dive into a very serious question I ask
Oh
everybody,
boy.
if you're having just a really bad day, I know you're a pretty good cook, but you can't cook, can't have Donetta cook or anything like that. You have to go somewhere. Um, and you're having a bad day, you want some comfort, where would you go and what would you buy?
Okay, so my first pushback on that question is, why do I have to have a bad day to eat good food?
Because the food always makes me feel good.
Um, are you talking about down in Huntington or just anywhere?
Anywhere. I
Okay.
like that's the one thing I like about this. And the one reason why I asked this question is there's so many different people that from so many different places that it's cool to see everybody's answers. So,
Gotcha. Well, the only type of food I do not care for is Indian food,
mhm,
and it's the curry. So if it's not curried, I like it. I just don't care for the taste of curry.
mhm.
Um, there's a restaurant in Charleston called Main Kwan, Kwan. It's in downtown Charleston, and they have the best General Tso's chicken I've ever had.
Oh,
And I've been
really?
all over the world, including Asia, and I cannot find better General Tso's anywhere.
That's crazy. So you have a sweet spot for that type of food.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love Thai. I love Chinese. I love sushi, Japanese, all of the Asian foods. Um, but I also love Cuban food, Jamaican, um,
I love Jamaican food.
German, Greek, Mediterranean, Middle Eastern, um, Mexican, true
So
Mexican. I love it
so
all.
so what you're saying is you're not a picky eater at all.
As long as it's good. No, I'm not picky. If it's not good, I won't eat it though.
And so, all right. So you were in the service,
Mhm.
and a couple of times we have talked about like going through hard seasons. I mean, I feel like this past year has been a hard season for everyone, and some therapists have even said like there will be people that are going through some sort of PTSD after this past year.
Yes. Yes.
Um, and I know that you have gone through that.
Mhm.
Um, and sometimes probably still have to deal with that a little bit, maybe.
Mhm.
Um, how do you cope? How did you cope?
Um, the best you can. It's so my time of year, it's kind of a odd thing for me. In March, so it's March now. Um, it's March the 4th, I believe, is the actual day. I could be wrong on that. Maybe it's 5th. I don't know. It's sometime.
It's fourth.
It's the 4th. Good. About the middle of March, I will start getting antsy, and um, I'll just feel an elevated sense of anxiousness, if you will, and that will fairly rapidly increase until early April, and then it will start to decrease, and it'll be totally gone by the end of April. And that's happened every year since. Uh, well, the first year it happened was 2004. It was based on an experience in 2003. So, um, and then the rest of the year, I'm pretty much okay with anything, but but that's my time of the year, and uh, the first, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, it was hard. I mean, it was just because I didn't know what it was going on. There had not been enough events to know to start to correlate when and what and all that. And it took about 5 years for me to realize that it was the season, the actual time, the dates, and once that happened, I called some friends, and uh, they also told me that they also they have similar issues this time of year. Um, we were activated to go to Iraq in 2003. We were activated on the 6th of March, and we were in country in Saudi Arabia on the 9th of March. Or actually, we left on the 9th, and then 2 days later, we were there. 36 hours, we were there. So um, that's kind of and you're kind of going into a great unknown. Um, and I think that's kind of for me, that's the trigger of it. Um, and then the, I think it peaks. Actually, it's on my birthday, April 6th. And for me, I think it peaks because that was the first time uh, we saw actual combat almost died. And then surviving that, obviously, because I'm here. Um, I think that's when it starts. After that, everything started to become normal, a new normal, if you will, with going into combat, being shot at, and all that. And so I think we were accustomed to it. It wasn't unknown after that. We had seen what could possibly go wrong, and then it became normal by the end of April, and it wasn't any big deal to see a missile fly past the front of the airplane or some guy shooting at you or whatever. That was normal. And so but it's correct. That was what, 18 years ago. So it's taken a long, long time to put all of those pieces together and understand, and then be accepting of, okay, I'm going to be anxious, in the next month. And, but having the confidence that, at least for me, it's going to go away. There are others
Mhm.
that are not um, as fortunate as I am. So it's different for everybody, I think.
Um, so you said that you almost died.
Hmm.
And that's always, even just thinking about it, it's kind of scary. And first off, pause, like everything hit with COVID and everything in March.
Right.
So I bet last year was around this time was a little bit more tough for you because it was like, oh great, this is my season, and
Yes.
now there's a storm within my storm.
Yeah, and it was the so I assume we're talking, or this is more for uh, teenagers or younger. I call them younger, uh, late teen, early 20s type
Mhm.
folks, primarily. Um, the first time you go through something is traumatic. Uh, the second time you go through something, and a lot of times our issues are similar, um, you have a experience already of a troubled time, right? So the more experience you have with difficulties or um, issues in life, the better you're equipped to handle them, if that makes sense. So last year, being locked down it wasn't the most horrible thing ever, because I've done that. And we found a new normal, a new routine, and we talked with our kids, Donetta and I, and we said, okay, this is this, and now we're going to try to do this, and we're going to build new habit patterns, and we started that fairly early, and I think we had some success doing that. I think the problem for us now is coming out on the other side of it, and breaking all of the bad habits that we started, the Fortnite and the YouTube and the Minecraft and the just we're used to staying inside all the time. Now we got to break out of that habit. So um, and that'll be another hurdle to overcome. But um, I mean, last year, I'm not trying to say it was easy. It was difficult, but um, you know, it it is what it is.
Yeah. Um, so when you almost died, did it do anything to your faith?
Well, Um, how much time you got? um, yes, and it. So that night, I'll try to make a long story longer. Not as long. We almost died 3 times that night, and it wasn't by being shot at or whatever. It was uh, we were delivering some army guys to a blacked out field in northern Iraq. So there were no lights or anything. So we're landing on night vision goggles, and we were trained to do all of that. And there were 4 airplanes going at the same time, and in a dust storm as well. And the first time we almost died, the we couldn't land on a certain direction, so they had to change the runway to a different direction because of the winds. And so we were kind of holding in a what we thought was a okay place to hold, waiting. And um, I got on the radio, and we were talking to the other 3 airplanes, and I just said, hey, by the way, we're 10 miles north of the field at 3,000 feet. And then it turned out all 4 of us were in the same airspace at the same time, 10 miles north of the field at 3,000 feet. And so, and I would not have normally made a radio call like that, but it just something, hey, tell everybody where you are. And had that not happened, 2 of the airplanes would have run into each other at some point because we were all right there together. And we couldn't see each other because it was night and no lights and everything else. So we sorted that out. On the second approach, and we tried to land 5 different times. The first 3 we couldn't see anything, so we went around and tried again. The 4th time, and the other guy was flying, and he's one of the best pilots I've ever flown with. It's nothing against him. We saw 2 lights out in the distance, and we thought that was the runway, so we're going to that. And excuse me if I get a little emotional. It's still overwhelming. I'm sitting on the right hand side of the airplane in the pilot seat, and I'm doing my job, which is not to look out the window at all. My job is to only read the instruments and to say the airspeed, altitude. And the other pilot, his job is to only look out the window and not look at the instruments. So we're working together. That's our jobs, and we're doing our jobs. And about 100 feet above the ground, when nobody would ever look out the window, it's like driving like a NASCAR driver. They don't ever look around because they're so intent on going 200 miles an hour and trying not to crash. And I literally, I'm wearing a helmet with night vision goggles, and it felt like a hand on top of my head reached down to my head like you would a little child and turned my head to the right. And I looked out the window to the right, and you never would do that. And I saw where we were supposed to land. My dog showed up, and he's a comfort dog now. And I looked back out the front of the window, and I saw the 2 lights, and my mind still wasn't registering. And I looked back, and I saw we were supposed to land, and then I realized we were lined up on another airplane that was on the ground, and we were about to land on top of it. So I don't remember the next minute. I kind of blacked out, or maybe repressed those memories. But the other guy said I just started screaming, "Go around!" And after we got back to altitude, they were like, "What happened? What's going on? Why did we go around?" And that's when I told them what I'd seen. And they, anyway, so that was very sobering moment. And we came around the next time, and it was my turn to land. And anyway, we landed, but and not because I'm any better than anybody else, but we had collective experience at that point on this night. Did it change my faith? Yes. But it's taken me, and again, that's also 18 years ago, and I've still not totally grasped or come to terms with everything that happened that night. You can believe whatever you want, but whether it's a miracle or a guardian angel or dumb luck, I believe it was divine intervention, and it's taken me a long time to come to terms with that.
And I feel like that's like I couldn't even imagine flying a plane because I don't like flying at all. I do it whenever I have to.
Right.
But to just like be in the middle and like you're not even supposed to be looking up, and to just feel like just being made to look up.
Right.
But looking back, like you said, it has taken you a while to actually be able to process. I feel like that anybody can kind of say that, especially whenever they go through traumatic experiences or they go through any type of thing. Like you said, we go through stuff, and then it can be as simple as a breakup. Your first breakup is your first
Right.
heartbreak. It just gut wrenching, but you start to realize first off what you need in a relationship, but also if something does happen, how to deal with your emotions and stuff like that. But sometimes in life, like you're going to go through really hard experiences, and sometimes you might even think that you are totally alone, and that you were scared and all this time. And then you'll look back, whether it's a year from now, 10 years from now, or 18 years from now, you're going to be like, wow, that was God. It had to have been God. There's no other way. So anytime that I know that a couple people have said, like, you are not alone. And sometimes we're talking about like, there's other people going through the same experiences as you. But whenever I think of you are not alone, whenever I feel really anxious, I wear a cuff and it says, be still and know. Because it reminds me that he is God, he is here, he is with me, and I'm not alone no matter what. So I know that you got a little bit choked up a little bit, but I appreciate you sharing a little bit of that. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about your passions. I know that you've been on mission trips. I know that
Actually, I never have been on a mission trip.
so Dawnette has been on mission trip, has
Yes.
been to Haiti.
A
I've
couple
been
of
to
times,
Haiti.
yes.
I've been to Haiti. I love Haiti. I love the people. I love the culture. Beautiful culture, guys.
Yes.
We've talked about different cultures on here before. I'm telling you, they're just beautiful people.
Yes.
And I still am like on Facebook friends with a couple people, some of my interpreters from there, and they're awesome. They're just amazing people. But it's fairly new. It just got off the last month. Got online. You did a nonprofit to aid relief organizations in Haiti, right? What made you want to do that? And because that's like a huge thing.
It's we get emotional again. Why are you making me emotional? I thought this was fun. You're pushing all my buttons. So I told you, or you said that I lead a leadership group called Joshua's Men.
Mm-hmm.
And basically that is a year-long, fairly intense study um, about leadership. It's primarily in the home, being a better husband, better father, but it's also outside of in different ways that men interact, whether it be work or sports or whatever, school, whatever that is, right? Um, so I went through the first time in 2018, and one of the books that we read is called Visioneering by Andy Stanley.
Oh, I
Uh,
love Andy Stanley.
yes. Um, so his books are great, and I was deep in this book follows Nehemiah as he rebuilt the wall in Jerusalem. And but so it takes that story of Nehemiah, but Andy, um, I'm talking about him like I know him, right?
Mm-hmm.
uh, but he puts leadership lessons and things about vision casting, having a vision for your future, purpose statements, mission statements, those types of things, all the way through this book, right? And I was really deep into the book about between page 3 and 5, literally, and make me cry. So I got a vision of Haiti. Um, and it was just like, that fast, just blink of the eye fast. And it would take me 30 minutes to say everything that I saw. Um, and once again, miracle, guardian angel, dumb luck, um, a vision from God. I don't know. However you want to classify it, I would call it a vision from God. But um, I didn't know what to do with that either. And so it took a long about a year to process that, which is shorter amount of time than what I had in 2018 when almost died. So the first story I told. So I'm getting better with experience, right? Um, the point of what I've started is there are, if we look at Haiti and we think of how can we help Haiti, okay, and somebody like yourself, for example, or the groups that you went to or went with, or Donetta or whatever, Americans, when we think of Haiti, we do not have a love problem for those people. We love them, and that is obvious. Like when you talk, or when Donetta talks, or anybody else that's been to Haiti, everybody, 100% of them come back and say how wonderful and how much they love the people of Haiti. It's not a love problem. It cost in 2019 dollars. Things are 2020 messed everything up, but um, I counted up. We were just on airfare alone, um, $2 million a day for people to travel there and travel back collectively. 11 flights a day into Port-au-Prince, each airplane 160 people, and each ticket $500, something like that. That's how I figured it. I've forgotten the exact number. And that's just to get there and get back. Money is not a problem for us either. We love the people and we have the resources to help them. Why is Haiti not thriving 14 years after an earthquake? Um, Katrina happened in New Orleans in, I think, 2005, totally devastated an area, with a population approximately the size of Haiti. A couple of years later, they're having a Super Bowl there. It's collaboration, cooperation. Your group goes, you do great things, but there's no place to hand that off to. There's no one to hand that work off to. So the point of it's called Sous Vision, which is Haitian for about vision. Um, Basically connecting all the groups together. Where do you go? When do you go? What do you do? Do you like it? Does it work? Those simple questions in your group, and a group from Texas, and a group from California, a group from New York, and a group from Florida that go to the same place can coordinate and start to make a change.
I love that. And first off, I just want to thank you for being emotional, because first off, my youth group is mainly like 90% boys. So I think it should be, I always say that it's okay to be emotional. But also, and I am in the process, I'm not even finished. I'm in the process of watching a documentary. It is on YouTube, and it's called The Sheep Among the Wolves, Volume 2. And it talks about the fastest growing church in the world. And it's in Iran, Christian church. And one of the things, and it's crazy, and it hurts a little bit, but the truth hurts sometimes. But one of the things last night, because it's a pretty long documentary and I don't have a lot of free time, so I'm doing it in spurts. But one of the things that it said last night, and it said, the difference between what the Holy Spirit is doing to the people in Iran is we are becoming so emotional. I mean, it's overwhelming emotion. And a lot of people in the West, they're so into what the church has, what programs, that they're so focused on the things instead of what the Holy Spirit can do to move them.
Right.
That they're missing the key thing. And I'm like, ouch, that hurts, but it's so true. And I feel like 2020 has helped us step back and be like, all right, really, what do we need? What do we need? And how can we have the Holy Spirit? And through this conversation, I just feel I see it. I'm glad that we are doing a video type of version of this, as well as and so you can see our conversation. But through your near-death experience, through this new nonprofit, it's not you working, it's you allowing the Holy Spirit to work through you.
Right.
And that's why you get emotional. And I'm absolutely, like, I love it. I love it. And I thank you for continuously sharing. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And it's so, I mean, only God, but God, but God, like the purpose behind that. There's so many times, like, mission. First off, if you ever think you're going to go on a mission trip and you're doing it to help someone else, you're going to come back and you're going to be like, oh, wow, that was for me.
Right.
Because you are going to be completely changed. But so many times mission trips go and they just, boop, they're done. Time to go back home. And so to have a little hub that say, okay, this is what worked for us. This is what didn't work for us. These are the needs that these people might need right now. And continuously trying to you have the sole purpose of making the country better instead of just experiencing it and coming back home. And that's what I feel like you have set up. Even though it's just brand new, I think that it's going to be, you're going to see amazing things happen through it. I love it. I love it.
Good
So
talk.
so
Mm,
thank you for listening to God and allowing him to guide you through that. Um, it's awesome. I can't wait to see in 5, 10 years.
mm-hmm.
Because I think what hurt me the most in Haiti is like there's a gate. There's like just like this gate that separates Haiti from like Dominican.
Right.
And so you have the Dominican Republic literally on the same island,
Mm-hmm.
totally different atmospheres,
Yes.
totally different atmospheres, one suffering, one thriving.
Yes.
Um, and it aches. It makes my heart ache whenever I heard the stories and people go on vacation to the Dominican.
Mm-hmm.
You don't ever hear someone say that they're going to vacation on in Haiti, even though Jacmel, the beach in Jacmel and Benet, oh, most beautiful sights. And the top of Mizak is beautiful. Um, so yeah. All right. So if you were if you had to relate to any biblical character in the Bible, if so, not who you want to relate to, who you actually relate to, who would you be?
Um, so this is fairly new for me. So I probably would have said Peter, just because he was, I think, adventurous, um, and he was willing to jump out of the boat and walk on water, and he was willing to fight, and it was just spontaneous. It wasn't anything planned, and that's part of my personality. I like spontaneity. I like to um, have adventures. I like to do things and have experiences. More recently, and this is the fault of the pastors at our church. They did a sermon series on Jonah, and
Jonah.
I think that's me. I think that was me. Um, Tried to run from God as far away from him as he could. Got swallowed by the fish. Um, I went to Iraq and Afghanistan and spit out on the beach, you know, covered in fish stomach juice. and and I was covered in, you know, bad, you know, bad vibrations, bad emotions, just, you know, all the bad stuff of war I brought back. And then a long journey, you know, to Nineveh for um, Jonah. And for me, just it's been a long journey of just trying to reconcile and to figure out, you know, kind of who I am and what I'm about, what I believe. Um, and then he went to the Ninevites, and um, I don't know that I have a true Nineveh that I have to go to, but I don't want to. You know, I don't hate. I don't have a you know a strong dislike for anybody. I don't think, um, but still, you know, and then reconciling that. But that first part of Jonah, and I've never said any of this out loud, so that's why it doesn't make any sense until you ask the question. But right now, I'm gonna go with Jonah.
Well, I think it's crazy because like I think that we can all relate to Peter a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think all of us can. Some more than others, but uh man, whenever you sit down and think about like there's so many different characteristics that can match up. I I did not. I fought tooth or nail. I fought tooth and nail to be where I am.
Mm.
I did not. I it started with, me being asked to be a dean at the church camp, and I was like, no, no, no. I kept rejecting. I even told them, please stop calling me. And then they said, I went into the local Christian bookstore, and one of the people were like, yeah, they think that they're talking about not having camp because they can't find a dean. And I'm like, man, God, if they call one more time, and I didn't even walk out the store, my phone rang, and I'm
Mm.
like, dag on it. And
I
then
hate when
that
that happens, you know?
that happened. And I'm like, it's okay because it's just 1 week. And then that happened. And then that fell into Youth Works. And I was a director in Youth Works. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting this job that I have. And I couldn't imagine anything else right now. Like, I mean, I do have dreams and I have passions and all of that stuff. But if you fight it, he'll take a fish.
Yeah.
He'll take whatever, and he will make sure that he will plop you down where you need to be.
Right.
Um, and it and if you actually listen, it might be frustrating and it might be confusing and you will have emotional times, but it'll be a beautiful ride.
Mm-hmm.
A very beautiful ride. So I have to ask, so your Joshua's Men, like, is it
Yes.
geared just towards the reason why um last episode we talked about leadership, as
Mm-hmm.
we talked about leadership as well, and what it takes, what um what it takes to be a leader, different aspects of leadership. What's your age group? Is it just for like men?
Yes. So first of all, this Joshua's Men, that program is not a program that our church developed. Can I say where I go? Is that
Yeah, that's fine.
okay?
Perfectly fine.
River Ridge Church. They have two campuses. One's in Charleston and the other in Tays Valley, Hurricane. And we attend the Tays Valley Hurricane campus. It is not a local church. It's not a River Ridge program at all. It was developed in 1987 by a guy named Dan Ryland, who is he's a pastor now at 12 Stones Church in Atlanta. Again, I've never met him, um, but he and another guy named John Maxwell started this program called Joshua's Men, and they saw a need in 1987 of there were a lot of guys like Moses around in that time, but the Moseses, I don't know how you say that, but the Moses of those days in 1987, in the 80s, were not mentoring young men. They were not bringing up Joshua's
Mm,
to lead the essentially the church, but their community, their families, and they saw a need even then with higher divorce rates and men not fulfilling their role in the family. So that was kind of the reason they started it. It is a 12-month program. You read 12 books in 12 months, one book a month. You have um, a project that goes along with every book. That kind of supplements it. And then we have a 4-hour meeting once a month to talk about the book and to talk about the project and to fellowship and encourage and all that. In addition to that, we read the Bible in a year. And that's about it. It came to River Ridge in 2017 was the first year from one of our members who had gone through the course in another church in another state. And so he brought it with him. He looked around. He goes, "This would be a great program here," and he started it. And I was a 2018 participant, and then in 2020, and then again this year, I've been leading. Me and some other guys are leading groups. Um, so that's basically it. If anybody ever, like you guys at your church or whatever, if y'all ever want to, or anybody in the internet world uh, want to talk about it, please contact me. I'll be glad to talk about it.
And I'll put his information down on the notes, like his email. So, or
Yeah,
anything that he is willing to give. And so if you
phone
are
number,
interested,
address, I don't care.
yeah.
Uh, um, the but anyway, that's the program, and um, it's been fantastic. Just learning and listening to other men talk than and their experiences than what I have to offer. So you asked about who the ideal participant is. According to 12 Stones, their ideal participant is 25 to 40, married with children and a job. That's male. That's their ideal participant. We we kind of go outside of that range a little bit more. We have a couple of guys that are divorced. We have a couple of guys. Well, I'm 51, so we go above the 40-year-old mark. But anyway, it's been a great program, and everybody that goes through it is changed in a good way.
I think that's awesome because it's like I think we're starting to see that, we do need to, even though this might be our prime time. First off, who is it, who are we to say it's not also the youth's prime time as well?
Right.
We need to start to help them building Joshua's.
Hmm.
We need to start investing, and not just telling them, but encouraging them to dive deeper. I do a little online Bible study, and I was the one that taught all the time. And then finally I was like, we're going to change this up a little bit.
Hmm.
So every week it's a different person. And
Good.
at first they were like, but now they're like, I learned so much trying to figure out what I was going to teach her. Like, we do a book of the Bible. We're starting to do a book of the Bible, um and there's like I learned a lot more than what I even taught. And I'm like, yeah. And
Hmm.
you start to fall in love with the Bible, and you start to realize like there's so much more than just the lesson that's given. And that goes with the sermons that you hear, that goes with the songs that you sing, and all of that. There's so much behind it. um if you just take the time to teach yourself. So teaching others to teach themselves is awesome.
Right.
Um, uh,
And I also would have said when you asked me my favorite character, Joshua. And one thing about Joshua that when you think about it, this relates to all of us. Um, he was one of the 12 spies that went into the promised land.
mm-hmm.
And he came back, all 12 of them came back, and Moses said, "All right, what'd you see?" And all 12 of them said that the people in the promised land, they're giants. They're bigger than us, they're stronger than us, they're more powerful than we are, they have bigger weapons, their cities are fortified. All 12 of them said that. 10 of the 12 said, "We can't take them." But two, Joshua and Caleb, said, "All that's true, but our God is bigger than their giants."
But God.
Yes. And when this is important for all of us, because we all face giants in our life, all of us. And when we approach guys for this to do the following year. Joshua's men, they have to see, they're going to see all the reasons they can't do it. You know, I can't give you a whole year. I can't read a book a month. I can't give you 4 hours on a weekend. I can't read the Bible in a year. I don't have that kind of time. I've got commitments. I've got this. I've got that. We all have giants in our life. And the vast majority of men will say no. But and that's okay. But we want the 2 out of 12. Those are the men we're looking for.
I like that.
And your youth group, life life is an adventure, and life is full of challenges. And whether you sit on the couch and play Fortnite and not ever do anything else, or you're out there in the world making things happen, it's all challenges. And you can't get away from challenges. So there's only two ways to go through it. You either let the challenge overcome you, or you overcome your challenges
Mm,
through the help of and the power of God. And that's
yes,
how we overcome.
we have a choice. And the Bible even says the road that I'm asking you to take, it's not going to be the majority. It's going to be the minority. And it's hard to be the minority. Um, so, when your friends are asking you to, go and do something that you don't really, isn't the best decision,
Mhm.
or, you said that you made a promise to yourself, I'm going to read my Bible a little bit more, even if it's just for 5 minutes a day. And someone tells you to hop on the game online or whatever, and you choose that, and then you end up falling asleep. Maybe the next day, you're breaking that promise with not only yourself, but with God.
Mhm.
But you've got to be disciplined, and it's hard and it takes time.
Mhm.
I fail sometimes still.
Mhm.
I fail on I fail all the time. And I'm like, oh, man, I should have read my Bible. I did more work than I put a separate time. Yes, I do, my work is ministry, but my time with God is different than my job.
Yes. Yes.
And so I used to at the beginning, I'm like, oh, I'm learning because I'm building
Mhm.
all these lessons. But even I, at the beginning, was like, I don't need that extra time with God. And I needed it.
Yes.
So, last question.
Okay.
If you had any piece of advice to give to the youth, what would it be? Even though it's been filled with little tidbits of advice, but if you had to say one thing.
um, don't be scared.
Mm, I love it. Don't be scared. Easier said than done.
Oh my gosh, I'm scared all the time. I'm scared of my shadow. I really am. But your the way that you live your life is determines your lifestyle. If in that if you attack life, that you will find that you have more opportunities than if you sit back and let life come to you.
Mm, yep.
And either way, they're both there are landmines in either lifestyle. There are bad things in both lifestyles. There are good things, but I myself I prefer to be proactive and um, to do to have the experiences or to live versus sit down and not.
Um, I saw this one, it was like a bumper sticker or something, and it said, do it scared.
Mm. Yes. Yeah.
Like, even if you're scared, there's a reason why you're scared.
Yes.
I mean, there's a reason why. Um, every new thing is scary. Every unknown is a little bit uncomfortable. My youth hear that word from me all the time,
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable. Um, but the journey, you're gonna face something in your future, and you're gonna look back and you're gonna be like, I was scared of that.
Mm-hmm.
I was scared of that. Like, look what big things I've accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
And if I would have said no to that, if I would have let my fear conquer what God had laid out for me, um, oh gosh, what things I would miss out on.
Right.
Um,
Right. And like when you say that, um, everybody's scared. Everybody. When and you said you have mostly boys in your youth group right now.
mhm,
So when you're sitting there and you see that cute girl across the aisle or whatever, and she's wearing a mask and there's, she's behind the plastic because that's our life now. Their life. She's scared too.
mm, yep.
Um, but the guy that is going to go out on a date with her, and all the boys are scared to talk to her. Everybody's scared. The boy that's going to go out on a date with her will be the one that goes up and talks to her.
The one that overcomes that fear. Even the most confident people are scared.
Everybody's scared.
Some people just hide it better than others, but everybody's scared. My
You know,
dogs are coming down the stairs now.
good. Mine's laying on the couch. When well, miracles don't happen when things are good and easy.
Mm-hmm.
The Israelites, they left Egypt and they're at the Red Sea and they can't go into the water, and the Egyptians are bearing down on them, and they're like, that's probably not good. 12 hours before the Egyptians get there, they're like, this is really not good. We need a miracle. 5 hours, 4 hours, they're closing in. And then when things are the most desperate is when you get the miracle.
Mm.
I don't really want any more miracles in my life because I don't like it when things are that desperate. But even then, God is with you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you were gonna one of your questions. I know I'm going over time now. One of your questions was my life verse or what's my favorite verse. Matthew 22:36-40. Love God, love your neighbor. And when I was in my most darkest time, the bottom of the pit, right? When we're totally broken. Um, somebody told, and I was talking to a minister actually, and I was like, dude, I can't live my life with rules. I can't live my life with, following all the church rules and, being good and doing all that. I've tried to live legalistically and I've failed miserably. And he's like, you got it all wrong. He goes, being a Christian, following God is not about living by rules. It's about loving God and loving your neighbor. Don't worry about the rules. They'll take care of themselves.
Yep.
Love God and love your neighbor.
Yes.
And that's it. Do that.
Yep. I like that. I love it. Well, thank you for giving me a little bit of your time and being honest and real with us and
Mm,
authentic. Um, thank you so much.
it's an honor.
And everyone out there, thank you for listening. I hope you got a little bit out of it. I hope you take what we have been talking about, and I hope you go out and you break down those walls and you gain some authentic perspective so we can start healing, we can start loving, and we can start filling in that gap. So until next time, stay phenomenal. I love you guys, and I will talk to you later.
Bye-bye.